This is not just a story, this is a modern African folk tale. A true tale whispered in Kigali streets. I was there when Amaka arrived. A healer from Nigeria with beauty, grace, and a gift that felt like a blessing. But behind every healing came a shadow. What happened next still haunts me, and it will change how you see African folklore forever. I still remember the first day Amaka moved into our neighborhood in Nyamirambo. Here in Kigali, it was a bright Sunday afternoon. I was on my balcony watering the little pots of sukuma wiki I keep there, when a small moving truck stopped in front of the cream-painted apartments opposite mine. Out stepped a tall, slim woman, carrying herself with quiet confidence. She wore a simple white blouse and a long blue skirt. Her natural hair was tied up neatly, and though she carried a heavy suitcase, she stopped to greet every passerby in Kinyarwanda, smiling kindly. Even the barefoot boys kicking a ball on the dusty street received her greetings. That day, I didn't know she would change our lives. I didn't know her name would one day be whispered with suspicion and fear. Back then, to me, she was just my new neighbor. Her name was Amaka. She was Nigerian, but she told me her grandmother had once lived in Rwanda before marrying across the border. She had come to Kigali for a fresh start. She explained that her grandmother had been a healer, and she had grown up learning how to use herbs, massage, prayer, and meditation to help people. But unlike her grandmother, Amaka wanted to bring healing into the city in a modern way. In Kigali, she told me one evening as we sat drinking tea on her balcony, people are always rushing, always worrying about jobs, money, and expectations. They forget to breathe. Sometimes all they need is a little balance, a little healing. At first, people came quietly. A market woman with back pain. A young mother who couldn't sleep because her baby cried all night. Even a boda rider who said his chest felt heavy. Amaka would boil herbs in her small kitchen, rub oils on their skin, pray with them in her living room. She wore flowing city gowns, sometimes jeans with bright tops, but she always tied a scarf over her hair when she worked. Soon the smell of eucalyptus, lemongrass, and healing balms floated from her apartment almost every evening. And word spread. Within months, Amaka was known across Nyamirambo. People said that Nigerian girl will touch your shoulders and your pain will vanish. Others said she could listen to your problems and speak words that gave peace. Women began to flock to her office, workers worn down by stress, wives burdened with silent battles, even students who felt anxious about exams. She never charged much. Sometimes she asked for a few thousand Rwandan francs, sometimes nothing at all. Healing is not about money, she often told me, but her gift brought attention. People admired her kindness, and in Kigali, where stress hides, behind smiles she became a refuge. Then came the whispers. There was another woman in our neighborhood, Beatrice, a nurse at a private clinic. Beatrice was loud, fashionable, always in high heels, always wanting to be noticed. She loved to boast of her education, her connections, her modern ways. At first, she tolerated Amaka. She even went to her once for back pain. But when she saw how many women preferred Amaka's herbs to her pills, envy took root. I remember the first time I heard Beatrice whispering outside the hair salon, "Do you think it's ordinary?" People touch her and suddenly their sickness disappears. My sisters, don't be blind. Some powers are not from God. The other women gasped, crossing themselves. But Beatrice did not stop. She began to tell anyone who would listen that Amaka's healing was too fast, too strange, too unnatural. Soon, whenever someone got better, Beatrice would say, "Yes, they are fine now, but at what cost?" These things always demand something in return. One night, a wealthy woman from Kakiyiru came to Amaka. Her marriage was collapsing. Her husband was drinking, her body weak with stress. Amaka welcomed her, prayed with her, gave her herbs for strength. Within a week, the woman's husband had reconciled with her. Her health improved. She returned to Amaka with gifts of fabric, food, even a small gold chain. But the very next month, the same woman collapsed suddenly and died in her car, just outside her compound. The city was buzzing. Some said she had a hidden illness. But Beatrice was quick to speak. You see, didn't I warn you? This is what happens when you go to such people. They give you healing with one hand and death with the other. That was the moment the tide began to turn. People started avoiding Amaka's flat. Some who once came every week now crossed the street. When they saw her, children were told not to accept sweets from her. In the market, I overheard women whisper that Nigerian is a witch. She hides it with herbs, but God sees. I knew Amaka. I knew her kindness, her honesty. But even I felt a shiver sometimes when I remembered how people's lives changed so quickly after seeing her. Was it possible Beatrice was right? One evening, Amaka came to my door. Her eyes were swollen from crying. My sister, she said, they are turning against me. Women I helped are now calling me evil. What have I done to deserve this? I held her hands. You have done nothing wrong. People fear what they cannot explain, but she shook her head. Sometimes I wonder if this gift is a blessing or a curse. A month later, something strange happened. Beatrice, the nurse who had accused Amaka most loudly, suddenly fell ill. Her skin grew pale, her body weak. Doctors tested her, but found nothing. Medicine didn't work. Finally, in desperation, her own family brought her secretly to Amaka's flat at night. I was there. I saw it with my own eyes. Amaka looked at her with no anger, no pride. She only said softly, "You have spoken lies against me, but I will not return evil for evil." She prayed, gave Beatrice herbs, massaged her feet. Within days, Beatrice was walking again, strong as before. But do you know what happened? The very next Sunday, Beatrice stood in church, raised her hand, and testified, "God has healed me." The prayers of our pastor delivered me from the shadow of death. She never once mentioned Amaka, and from that day, Amaka's fate was sealed. No one trusted her again. People said if she can heal secretly, she can also harm secretly. Within weeks, her clients vanished. By the next year, she packed her bags quietly and left Kigali. Sometimes, when I sit on my balcony in the evening and smell eucalyptus in the air, I think of her. I think of how quickly admiration turns to suspicion in our world. Amaka wanted to heal, to help, to combine old wisdom with modern life. But jealousy is louder than truth. And in Kigali, people will rather believe a loud lie than a quiet miracle. I don't know where she is now. Some say she went back to Nigeria. Some say she disappeared completely. But I know what I saw with my own eyes. A woman with a gift crushed by envy and fear. And that is why, whenever I hear people gossip about another woman's success, I keep silent. Because I remember Amaka the healer, who was cursed not by spirits, but by the hearts of people. Some say Amaka's curse was never lifted. Others believe her story was just the beginning of a new African folklore legend. But I know what I saw in Kigali, and it is a story I will never forget. If this African folktale touched you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, subscribe, and join me as we uncover more forgotten stories of Africa's heart. Asterisk.